it's few minutes to the last session of the Financial Inclusion for Women Empowerment G20 conference here in Sun City, and I got lucky to reach Anjani before she leaves the venue. How are you, Anjani? Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Anjani Harjeven. I'm the CEO at a company called WomHub. We call ourselves an ecosystem enabler because it's really around how do we transform an ecosystem to make a more inclusive society for women and girls across the value chain. That's a lot of words, but what really we do is we do capacity building, learning, development, incubation and acceleration for women specifically focused in STEM on the continent.
Okay. I was about to ask you to tell us more what it does and how can we also join and partake and get empowered by WomHub.
Awesome. Yeah, so thank you, because we love talking about that. There's basically 4 things that we do. So the first one is talent pipeline development, and that is supporting high school girls and young women in tertiary level around cognitive and behavioral skills. So we're not saying the education you're getting is bad. We're saying how do we complement that to provide you with skills that you can thrive in the workplace, especially in previously and currently male-dominated spaces. So those programs are application-based. You'll see lots of our media going out, welcoming people to apply for those programs, and you can join. So that's kind of talent and thinking about participation in the workforce. Then we run a number of entrepreneurship development programs, incubator, accelerator, and road to investment programs. And we partner with incredible organizations like the Visa Foundation, like Cecil, De Beers, Standard Chartered Bank, to really think about the key issues of development for female entrepreneurs. And those are around thematic things like what are women in engineering and mining, for example, specific needs. But then we also have a number of those looking at sustainability and circular economy. But the common thread running through all of them is understanding that self is really important, and the development of the entrepreneur themselves. Financial understanding and coaching is really, really important to us. And then also just learning and development around how to operationalize your business for growth. So those are also application based, and people can look out for our applications and apply for the one that is relevant for their business stage and their sector that they operate in. The third thing we do is that we have innovation hubs, and those are really spaces for female founders by women. And it's because we find that we all need flexibility, but women have a different definition of what flexibility means. So they want spaces that are safe, that are comfortable, easy to get to, and easy to use. And our hubs are currently in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and East London. And it's a space that entrepreneurs are welcome to come and engage with us in and say, how can I make use of the space? It's welcome. It's open to everyone. The last thing we do is we realize that all of this development work can only go so far if you're unable to put money into the hands of those who need it the most. Cash is king, right? And so the last leg of what we do is our capital arm. And that's really looking at how is it that we educate and prepare entrepreneurs for capital readiness so that they understand what their capital needs are based on their business, that we're able to help them create a financier community that has the funds to be able to pass on to them, and that we're able to provide that matching function. Because we often hear there's lots of money available for women, but we also hear women are struggling to access finance. So we bridge that gap between the funders and the entrepreneurs themselves, and we sign a few checks as well. So that's really what we mean by end-to-end value chain in supporting women.
I promise the people that I will try by all means to get them all the information that we're getting here so that they feel like they're a part or they were also in this meeting. Can you please tell us more or summarize for us? I know that you were in a panel discussion earlier on today. What were the pains addressed there and what were the key takeaways from the session?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, in the panel today, we were talking about, and I think it talks to the broader theme of the conference, right? Within financial inclusion, I think it's easy to talk about what needs to be done and what is happening. But our panel specifically was around what are some of the strategies and how do we think about private and public partnership to make sure that we drive financial inclusion for entrepreneurs in our context. And for me, it was such a rich discussion, and because we had so many different perspectives on the panel. So we had myself as an ecosystem enabler. We had a founder who's directly been impacted by the programs. We had Visa, who hosted the panel and the conversation, and then we had representation from ABSA. So having institutional impact and input, as well as ourselves, helped us understand what are some of the challenges along the value chain, but more importantly, what are the opportunities and what's already being done. And in that realm, for me, the key takeaways were really meeting entrepreneurs where they're at. And I think there is now, along the full value chain, and understanding that you need to walk the journey of the entrepreneur, treat each one as an individual so you can work forward. The second key takeaway for me was, when it comes to policy and outcomes of conference like this, how do we make sure that the policy decisions, which are sometimes really robust, match the ability to implement what the guidance provided by the policy says? Because at the end of the day, it's the entrepreneur who needs to work within those systems. And the third takeaway is, there's so much incredible work being done. How do we join the dots and connect up those pieces and make sure that that information and that access to knowledge is shared with entrepreneurs, who can then access opportunities to market, opportunities themselves to network, and access to funding.
Any closing remarks before we close our session?
So I think that conferences like this, being in the room, are so important. But if you can't be in the room, engage in conversations like this. I think feeding your soul and energizing yourself around what else is going on in your environment, in your ecosystem, can only strengthen what it is we're trying to do. None of us can do this in isolation. And I think the more you continue to tap into resources like these conversations and these conferences, the better for all of us. And I think we'll make great strides in building entrepreneurship for our economy.
Thank you so much. That was it from the CEO of the WomHub.